Hello and welcome back to Dinar Shift. Today, we are diving deep into a subject that has been building with quiet intensity behind the scenes, something many believe represents the most crucial turning point in the recent history of the Iraqi dinar. The global financial landscape, the operational readiness of major U.S. banking systems, and the strategic finalization of reforms within Iraq are all exhibiting a level of coordination and simultaneous movement that is simply unprecedented. This is not the standard background noise of the financial world. This is a symphony of coordinated action, carefully timed and meticulously executed. For those tracking the global financial shifts, or for those who have been observing the dinar story for years, the details we are breaking down today are essential to understanding the current environment. We will be looking past the speculation and focusing solely on the tangible, observable changes being confirmed by technical analysts and banking operations professionals. This information is designed to keep you informed, prepared, and fully aware of the foundational shifts currently underway, which have the potential to define the coming period. The movement we are seeing is rooted not in public announcements, but in the preemptive actions taken by the systems themselves. When the underlying infrastructure of global finance begins to shift, it is a powerful indicator that the stage is being set for an imminent and significant event. In recent days, there has been a noticeable acceleration of unusual preparations across financial institutions in the United States. These are far from being routine, daily system adjustments that large banks regularly perform for maintenance. Instead, they represent highly structured, system-wide updates targeting foreign exchange mechanisms. Internal teams within these institutions have reportedly received heightened alert notices, signaling a state of quiet, operational readiness geared specifically towards major global currency activity. This kind of systemic gearing up is a critical detail that technicians follow closely, as banks do not deploy these resources unless they are anticipating a transition worthy of a comprehensive system refresh. Reports from employees within some of the largest U.S. financial centers indicate that internal communications have explicitly instructed teams to be vigilant for sudden, unscheduled updates concerning foreign currency rates and exchange modifications. This is a telltale sign of an approaching adjustment window. A major bank does not elevate its monitoring protocols to this level without a clear expectation of a significant event. Furthermore, what is particularly noteworthy is the mirroring of this activity across multiple top-tier institutions. When the largest, most strategically significant banks in America exhibit the same heightened preparedness simultaneously, it is almost never coincidental. It is, by definition, coordination, synchronization of readiness that points directly to a shared expectation of major, impending currency realignment. This collective movement forms a powerful part of the current narrative, as it demonstrates that the groundwork is already well established. Shifting our focus to the epicenter of this narrative, Iraq, we can observe the culmination of several months of focused, phased preparation aimed at positioning the Iraqi dinar for true international integration. The long-term, often slow-moving reforms that once characterized Iraq's financial modernization efforts appear to have abruptly converged into a much more advanced and active phase. The Central Bank of Iraq (SPI) has increasingly issued statements that carry a tone of finality and operational confirmation, emphasizing terms like completion, readiness, and implementation. These pronouncements are significantly different from vague commitments. They are operational confirmations coming directly from the authoritative body responsible for the dinar. The CBI has been diligently updating its digital infrastructure, expanding its global financial connectivity, rigorously tightening oversight within the banking sector, and pushing for full compliance with international regulatory standards. The CBI's public declaration that its monetary reform project is transitioning into an implementation mode signals the critical conclusion of the setup phase. The entire purpose of this extensive, multi-year reform effort, modernizing financial technology, upgrading banking legislation, imposing strict controls on currency movement, and connecting with global settlement platforms, would be entirely contradicted if the final outcome were merely to sustain the existing, extremely low exchange rate. The fundamental objective of reform is to enhance currency strength, solidify transparency, and encourage robust global financial participation. Therefore, the logical progression is that upon successful international integration, the market valuation of the currency must accurately reflect the nation's true economic status and strategic importance. The question that remains is the precise timeline for this next, crucial operational step, which is where the global preparations intersect with Iraq's internal readiness. Within Iraq itself, a noticeable and highly relevant social shift is occurring. For years, official discussions regarding exchange rate reform, increasing purchasing power, and establishing stronger economic stability were carefully contained and largely avoided in public discourse. However, in the current environment, these very topics are becoming open, frequent, and actively integrated into public conversations among citizens and business owners. When a sovereign government or central bank begins the process of preparing its population for a major currency shift, it is typically because the institution anticipates that the transition will become publicly visible in the near term. This transparency suggests a high degree of confidence in the underlying, non-public progress that has been achieved. Further evidence of internal readiness in Iraq can be found in local reports concerning updated banknote structures, the commencement of structured training sessions for bank branch personnel, and accounts of system-wide tests being run discreetly behind the scenes. These operational and logistical preparations are classic indicators that internal systems are being finalized for a forthcoming change. The convergence of this Iraqi internal readiness with the observable international banking activity creates a realistic and compelling window of activation. When systems on both sides of the equation, the nation enacting the reform and the global financial infrastructure that must accommodate it, are simultaneously signaling their readiness, the possibility of a near-term transition becomes much more compelling and grounded in technical reality. Returning to the United States, the internal alerts within major financial institutions extend beyond mere rate monitoring. These alerts have been specifically linked to detailed compliance checks, rigorous liquidity testing, and necessary adjustments to cross-border transfer mechanisms. These are the precautionary measures that banks invariably undertake before a projected wave of high-volume financial transactions or sudden currency exchanges. Their primary objective is to guarantee stability, prevent systemic overload, and ensure that their systems can seamlessly manage global traffic without the risk of delays or shutdowns during a major event. This comprehensive preparation reflects the gravity of the anticipated change. It is a well-known fact that if a currency such as the Iraqi Dinar, or any other previously suppressed currency, were to suddenly experience a revaluations RV, the initial and most significant pressure point would inevitably be the U.S. banking system. This is simply due to the substantial volume of individual holders and associated accounts within the country. The fact that numerous major financial institutions are demonstrably preparing for this kind of traffic simultaneously is a clear indication that a collective and coordinated anticipation of a large-scale currency event is currently in play. This level of synchronized readiness across the largest players is a more factual and verifiable signal than any public announcement or speculative rumor. One of the most compelling technical signs recently observed is the synchronization activity taking place across international banking networks with updated foreign exchange servers. Banks do not engage in synchronization tests unless they are absolutely necessary. These processes are inherently time-consuming, expensive, and are typically reserved only for moments when an institution is expecting a fundamental change in the flow or valuation of a major currency. The critical question then becomes, why is this high-level, synchronized preparation occurring at this precise moment in November 2025? The consensus among technical observers is that it is the direct result of Iraq's internal reforms finally aligning perfectly with the requirements of the global financial architecture. Every forward step taken by Iraq, be it toward increased financial transparency, adherence to international compliance standards, or upgrades to its core banking infrastructure, requires an accompanying adjustment and synchronization within global financial systems to accommodate it. This is the nature of a modern, interconnected system. This visible infrastructure movement, rather than speculative hype, serves as the most reliable evidence that the global system is in a state of final preparation. The entire global financial network must be capable of processing the change, and the technical steps currently being taken confirm that this capability is being actively secured across all major platforms. Simultaneously, the Iraqi central bank has demonstrated a newly found and quite public confidence. Their clear and unequivocal statements regarding their readiness for full international integration are highly significant. Such declarations carry considerable weight because they signal not theoretical compliance, but practical adherence to an implementation of stringent international financial standards. Iraq is a nation rich in natural resources, possessing significant global trade potential, holding vast energy reserves, and wielding considerable strategic influence in its region. The existing valuation of its currency, which is but a small fraction of a penny, is entirely incongruent with this economic and geopolitical reality. To spend years modernizing financial systems, tightening currency movement controls, and fully integrating with global settlement platforms only to maintain a severely undervalued exchange rate would be a profound act of economic contradiction. The entire point of the comprehensive reform agenda has been to foster increased economic strength, ensure greater financial transparency, and facilitate broader global participation. When a currency achieves this level of international integration, its market valuation must logically correct itself to reflect its true underlying economic status. The observed preparations are consistent with a move away from an artificial, post-conflict suppression and towards a realistic market valuation that aligns with Iraq's current resources and capabilities. Within the community of analysts and technical observers focused on the dinar, there is a collective noticing of specific, final stage measures being taken by the CBI. These are not predictive leaps, but careful observations of operational patterns that typically precede the final transition of a monetary reform. Analysts are noting specific banking systems undergoing final testing protocols, and they are observing the increasingly open communication from Iraq to its citizens regarding sustained financial growth. This kind of transparent citizen engagement is usually reserved for a time when the fundamental stability has already been achieved behind the scenes, and the public is being prepared for the positive, visible results. Historically, when a nation takes the proactive step of preparing its citizens for a major financial shift through public transparency and communication, it reliably tends to follow through with substantive, visible action. These public indicators, when combined with the technical readiness signals from international banking networks, paint a picture of an event approaching its final stages. On the subject of the U.S., Banking environment. The most notable development is the quiet transition of institutions into a focused preparation mode, distinct from any kind of crisis or panic response. This mode involves the necessary work of stress testing systems, methodically reviewing internal policies, updating digital platforms, confirming adherence to evolving international standards, and structuring staff readiness protocols. Banks are explicitly warning their staff about potential foreign currency adjustments for a clear reason: the necessity to be ready for a sudden rate change to go live without delay. This proactive warning is, according to the analysis of numerous experts, intrinsically linked to a broader global currency realignment. This realignment is not a chaotic event but an essential market correction, a mechanism to adjust the exchange rates of both undervalued and overvalued currencies so that global markets can achieve a more balanced and sustainable equilibrium. This fundamental rebalancing is a critical component of global financial health. The case of Iraq stands out as one of the most extreme examples of currency undervaluation in the world today. The dinar's suppressed value is a direct legacy of decades marked by political instability, international sanctions, conflict, and economic mismanagement. However, those conditions have fundamentally changed. Iraq is currently stabilizing politically, fostering expanding trade partnerships, and growing its underlying economy. Crucially, the nation is underpinned by immense reserves of oil, natural gas, agricultural capacity, and verifiable gold assets. For a currency with such formidable backing to remain near a zero exchange rate represents a significant financial distortion. The correction of this imbalance is not an unrealistic speculation. It is a logical and inevitable consequence of the structural changes implemented. And many people often misunderstand the concept of a global reset. It does not signify financial collapse or widespread economic destruction. Instead, it refers to the highly technical process of adjusting currency valuations worldwide to more accurately reflect their true economic weight and the national assets they represent. It is a necessary shift away from artificially suppressed or manipulated valuations and towards a realistic, market-driven assessment. When a pivotal currency like the Iraqi dinar, which is tethered to a resource-rich nation, undergoes a significant correction, the resulting ripple effect is felt across global markets. This is the precise reason why not only U.S. banks but also European institutions, major Asian financial platforms, and Middle Eastern banking systems are all monitoring the situation so closely and undertaking preparatory steps. Their preparations are not driven by unverified speculation. They are driven by the absolute necessity to remain seamlessly synchronized with global currency shifts to maintain operational integrity. The synchronization ensures that when the change occurs, the entire network can process the shift smoothly, preventing any systemic shock or failure across international transaction platforms. This required synchronization is a factual driver of the current activity. Back in Iraq, the increasingly open discussions surrounding enhanced purchasing power are a fundamentally critical sign. Governments do not strategically introduce the topic of stronger purchasing power to the public unless they have a firm expectation of impending change. The intentional management of public expectations is a crucial policy tool. Iraq is actively preparing its citizens to fully grasp and anticipate the tangible benefits that will accompany a stronger currency, including a reduction in the cost of imports, an increase in domestic buying power, greater financial stability for businesses and families, and a general improvement in the overall quality of life. The public conversation surrounding these benefits is clear evidence that the foundational work has been successfully completed, and the population is being primed for the transition. The next set of major signals for observers to watch for are tangible, public, and undeniable. These will include additional official statements from the Central Bank of Iraq, visible adjustments appearing on international foreign currency tracking platforms, updates being made to global financial databases, and the final, synchronized rate movements across the major international banking networks. When the moment of transition arrives, there will be no need to chase unverified rumors or rely on speculative claims. The shift will be highly visible, undeniably public, and impossible for the financial world to ignore, as it will be reflected across all major financial data streams. Regarding the critical element of timing, we are now in a very specific window where all the necessary components have aligned. Iraq has finalized its internal reforms, major international banking systems are demonstrably ready for the event, and global institutions are moving in parallel synchronization. As of November 2025, the alignment between Iraq's internal development schedule and the global banking operational movements is at a level not previously witnessed. When this transition ultimately occurs, its impact will extend far beyond Iraq's borders. The transition is expected to reshape global financial flows, recalibrate major trade balances, and redefine core economic partnerships around the world. It is highly likely to exert significant influence on other long, undervalued currencies throughout Asia and Africa, encouraging necessary corrections that have been deferred for decades. It will also inevitably shift the way sovereign nations approach the management of their financial reserves and core assets, and may accelerate a broader international interest in financial systems backed by tangible assets. The magnitude of this anticipated financial event is considerable. Throughout this final stage, the most important directive for anyone following this news is to maintain composure, exercise patience, and remain rigorously informed by official sources. It is crucial to disregard fear-based rumors and avoid the impulse to engage in panic-driven selling or buying. Any significant financial action should only be contemplated when official, publicly verified information is made available by credible institutions. When the event becomes public, it will be transparent. Banks will display the updated exchange rates. Financial institutions will follow established protocols for processing the change, and arrangements for exchanges will be facilitated through verified official channels. The journey to this point has been lengthy and often characterized by confusion and rampant misinformation. However, the signals being generated today are categorically different from the past. They are stronger, more structurally coordinated, and, critically, they are rooted in real observable institutional movement, rather than mere assumption or hope. Iraq is undeniably at a pivotal economic turning point. The global banking system is engaged in active preparation, and the necessary financial pieces are aligning with a clarity that has been absent in previous years. As we move through the coming weeks and months, the necessity for vigilance, a grounded perspective, and a focus on official updates cannot be overstated. It is essential to understand that a change of this magnitude does not materialize without extensive, meticulous preparation. What is being witnessed right now is that very preparation unfolding in real time, and when the final, necessary actions are taken, it is poised to become one of the most significant and defining financial moments of the current decade. This systematic and coordinated readiness is the foundation of the current Dinar story. The entire purpose of the Dinar Shift channel is to navigate these complex movements and provide clarity based on confirmed, observable facts and technical analysis. The focus remains strictly on the structural changes within the Iraqi economy and the accompanying readiness within the global banking framework. Understanding the true mechanics of currency realignment and the steps the CBI has taken toward international compliance is the key to appreciating the current landscape. We are observing the logical conclusion of years of reform, now being actively processed by the world's major financial platforms. The convergence of Iraqi monetary policy modernization with the operational readiness of the U.S. banking system is a technical necessity. For any globally traded currency, the ability of major international banks to handle the volume and transactional requirements is non-negotiable. The widespread updates, compliance checks, and liquidity testing taking place confirm that the global system is actively adapting to accommodate a new reality for the Iraqi dinar. This technical preparation is a signal that goes beyond mere chatter and speaks directly to the operational certainty within the financial architecture. The continued focus on achieving full compliance with global standards is what gives the CBI's recent statements their weight. Compliance means more than just having new laws, it means integrating financial technology that allows for secure, transparent, and high-volume international transactions. It is the implementation of these technologies and protocols that necessitates the simultaneous synchronization we are seeing in foreign banks. This intricate dance of readiness demonstrates that the systems are now mature enough to handle the demands of a fully integrated, market-valued currency. To fundamental economic backing of Iraq, its vast natural resources, particularly oil, which remains the lifeblood of the global energy market, provides a tangible, non-speculative basis for a significant currency correction. An undervalued currency hinders international trade and limits a nation's ability to maximize its resource potential on the world stage. Therefore, the correction of the dinar's value is an act of economic self-interest and a necessary step for Iraq to fully leverage its strategic assets and participate effectively in the global economy as a major player. The public discussions in Iraq about better purchasing power directly address the historical challenge of inflation and the inability of the dinar to sustain domestic economic growth. A stronger, more stable currency is the necessary tool for improving the daily lives of Iraqi citizens by making imports cheaper and securing the financial future of the country. This internal communication is a crucial bridge between the technical reforms being implemented by the CBI and the eventual visible impact on the nation's populace. It is a sign of policy confidence. In conclusion, the current environment is defined by unprecedented technical alignment, the preparation activities within the global banking system, the final stage reform confirmations from the CBI, and the open public discussion within Iraq all point to a singularity of purpose. This confluence of internal and external factors suggests that the foundational work for a major financial shift has been completed. Remain informed, be patient, and trust only the verifiable, official signals that will undoubtedly accompany this historic financial moment.